Okay,
Hi, Ian. Welcome and thank you for joining us for this interview.
no problem. Well, I I always kind of had this sense that I wasn't alone, but I didn't know what he was or who he was. I always had this feeling that God was talking to me, but I didn't know exactly what. Grandma, and I remember her
So,
back.
as a small child,
Yeah, yeah. As a child, like my grandmother, I remember going to
this was you and what, a sibling or?
my brother and I, and sometimes my cousins would come out for the summer. Uh, our parents would drop us off there to hang out with grandma and great grandpa
Okay.
and great grandma.
All right. So, you've talked a lot to us about having a purpose. When did you realize that you had this this purpose?
Um, I don't know. I think it was just kind of something that I always felt like I was there was something there. I don't know. It was just a feeling I had. I just had this feeling that I was here to do something for humanity or something big. I don't know. I don't know. I guess I felt special, if you would say.
And this all started as a child as well.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Because as a child, I didn't really have a lot of friends, so like most kids, they would run around and play with, do their little games and ride their big wheels, and I just had this, I just always was by myself, really. So I just kind of had this intuition or something like
All
that.
right. Let's talk more about that. Like, what was your childhood like?
Well, I don't know. I mean, up until a certain age, I thought it was just a normal childhood because I didn't know any better. I really didn't have any uh, friends to compare it with. I remember, my dad was a mechanic at one point, and my mom, she always worked in. She was a waitress, a cook, and I just remember my I remember at an early age, um, working with my dad on the cars, and and they weren't. My parents were kind of off and on, rocky here and there. I remember staying with my relatives sometimes, and then not my relatives, and then I just remembered.
And was that due to like a substance use or any?
My on my mom's side of the family, she used she's always it was I think it's been part of our culture, I would say. But my mom always used methamphetamines
And is
and
that like trickled into your life as an adult or as an adolescent or?
um, it didn't really start in my life. I mean, I think it was in first or second grade. I think my dad let me drink a beer, or and then that was about that. And then my friends would chew tobacco, and I chewed tobacco, turned green, and stuff like that. But really, addiction wasn't part of my life per se. But I had always been around my family members and my siblings and stuff. My older siblings, like my mom's, my aunts and uncles, they all did something. They all smoked weed or something like a drink.
And for you, when did addiction start for you?
Addiction really didn't start until I was probably, well, it was right after DARE class, in sixth grade. We went through
Wow.
DARE, and it was drug awareness resistance education. And I remember graduating that class and going home and hanging out with my buddy across the street. We went over and we snuck his dad's weed pipe and we smoked pot for the first time.
Right, right. So then, is addiction has always pretty much been an issue?
Um, I wouldn't say it's always been an issue, but it's reared its ugly head a lot of times in my past. Yes, for sure, for sure.
Okay. And so presently, what are your goals?
So presently, like my goals have are like, well, in order to tell you what my well, I'm starting a foundation. So my the I want to start a foundation, and I want to start it here in Silicon Valley because um, it's just something that God put on my heart. God,
A
I was
purpose.
that's my kind of what I'm realizing my purpose is to change the viewpoint, change people's perspective on how God works and stuff. Is maybe give someone a different idea of you know God, because I think that a lot of the times we think that God's some far off person or that He's not with us, and we have to be a perfect person in order for God to work in our lives, and partly the reason I'm starting this foundation is because I have I've always been walking with God, and just because I was walking with God doesn't mean that my life is perfect either. And that doesn't mean that God doesn't love us either.
So what influenced this foundation? Was it a personal experience? A foundation for, I think we talked about, it's for the homeless.
Yeah.
And so is that something you've gone through or something you've been a part of or?
Well, yeah, absolutely. In my younger days, I had, bits of, you could say, quote unquote, homelessness, but at the time, I didn't view it as that. I was just being a kid running around, friends to friends, and just running away from home, basically not having to want to be at home, and
Have you experienced the homelessness in the Silicon Valley?
yes, yes, and that's recently why I've decided to start the Black Sheep Foundation, is because when I my my wife and I came out here to Silicon Valley. Well, we were actually on our way to San Francisco, and our car broke down in a nearby town, and we had to sell the car, the vehicle, and
Oh,
it
wow.
was just her, my dog, me, and one other friend. We were coming up here to pick up another friend and buy drugs at the time, but God had other plans for me, for us. He
How long were you guys homeless before you found housing?
well, we were homeless for 3 years, I believe, under
Oh,
the
wow.
bridge. We lived under a bridge next to the train station.
Right. And there's other homeless
Yeah,
around,
if
or I
anybody,
should say unhoused.
yeah, if you're familiar with downtown,
Oh
um,
yeah.
downtown San Jose by Deer Dawn Station, the train station, um, you you would know that there were plenty of homeless people around, and we had we we were out of luck, out of money, didn't have IDs to get home.
So you feel like there's a need, there's definitely a need for this, for Black Sheep to really get involved and help the.
Yeah, when we were homeless under the bridge, it was we were feeding our addiction. Our addiction my, was to fentanyl, and we had been using for quite a few years uh, prior to this.
And you say was, so you're currently not using.
So no, yeah, we've gotten away from the whole addiction thing, and we're not using fentanyl anymore. We got clean off of that.
Praise God.
Huh?
Praise God.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. It wouldn't have happened though, had you know the pain of remaining the same was more than
The desire to use.
my desire to use, for
Right.
sure. I had gotten picked up on a warrant one time, and I left My wife she was under the bridge, and there's all kinds of unscrupulous things that happened. But overall, I fell in love with the homeless community because if it wasn't for the homeless community, we would have made it. We relied a lot on the homeless community and the people around us, even as dangerous or scrupulous of types of people that they were. They, for the most part, they were our, they were our, they were the ones that actually kind of got us through.
Right. So this foundation, tell me exactly what would it do? What would it offer for the local unhoused in the area?
Well, the foundation, I'm hoping to, I'm hoping to start the foundation and have a property where the homeless would have a place to, first of all, be just to be and a safe zone for them really, and a place to where they could realize that even though they're homeless, that people love them. There are,
Just to like get rid maybe of the stigma of the whole.
yeah, the whole
Okay.
stigma. It's like I just want to show the homeless community. I want to be able to show the homeless community that there are avenues we can go through. There are people who love them. There are people who understand what they're going through, and give them an opportunity to come to the foundation, and maybe get their rehabilitation going. We're gonna have
Kind of like build their trust, like in smaller steps, not just throw them into, a different idea, but to.
Yeah, because I mean, a lot of homeless people, a lot of homeless, they don't really under they don't they well
They want it, they just don't know how to get there.
yeah, what's the first step, and then you get these big governments that they have programs, but a lot of us don't trust those state run programs because it's like you're locked up in a box, or you have to do this, or you have to do that, and it's like, yeah, we're scared of government entities. And our parents were either thrown in jail for years and years, and we've seen how that goes, and there's a lot of judgment and stigmatism around being homeless, and being classified that way really makes a person just, I'm not going to do it.
So it sounds like it'd be for you know, the unhoused, ran by the unhoused, so there'd be a lot more trust.
Well, yeah, I believe that the homeless community is more willing to trust a person that lives side by side with them, first of all, and understands the real ins and outs of being homeless, the trials and errors, and the work that's involved in just being homeless. I mean, a lot of people don't really realize that being homeless is not just being a lazy bum using drugs. It's actually a lot of work.
Like a full-time job.
It is a full-time job. I mean, you got to find water, and everybody's got a lock on their spigot, or you want to go wash your hands and face for whatever an interview, and most of the public restrooms are locked from you. They don't want you to
Right.
come in there because of what, the way I look or the way I'm dressed. Well, if I,
So it would take a normal, should I say normal person to get something done would take someone, who's out on the streets would take a lot longer.
yeah, I mean, I mean, just going over to find water could be 4 or 5 city blocks, and
So this is what the foundation would do, would be to give, tell us more about the foundation. Is there facilities going to be on this property? What
yeah.
are they-
So the foundation, we're hoping to build it in a fashion where some of the homeless, they have RVs, or they have vehicles, but they're run down, and they can't drive them, or the registration's up, or whatever. And we hope to have a section to where if they have those, it's going to be like a small RV park, and there'll be certain prerequisites in order for them to bring their vehicles. We don't want a big junkyard per se, but but we do want a place that they can bring and park their stuff, and they can,
Create some sort of residence.
yeah, and they they'll have like a little park, and then we'll have like from some of the clients are mechanics, homeless people who go through the program. We're going to start a little mechanic shop so that the new clients that come in, they can get their vehicle worked on for minimal or no cost, and that would be a great benefit to a lot of homeless that are in the situation where they have a vehicle and it's just not up to par, or
Give them
and
a
a
sense of
donation.
responsibility.
Yeah, and they can have get it worked on by other people that have graduated the program. So basically, I want to have some storage there. People want a place to put their things, and we also want to have it be a safe zone. So, they can come to the foundation and be on the property in a safe area where they're not going to get robbed by other outside people or anything like that.
Will they have access to things like social services or
Absolutely.
legal
We're gonna
services?
have social services will come to the property, and they will come on a daily, weekly, whatever basis to meet with their clients. And social services will be there, and then we'll have a donation center. We'll have a car lot basically for donations. You can donate your vehicles and or get them worked on. So we'll have a donation center for vehicles, and we'll have a mechanic shop to repair and put them back on a lot. Then we'll also have a little small storage facility for the clients that are there. We'll also have we're going to have a big stage, a graduation stage, where that we're going to introduce new clients. When they come, we're gonna basically throw a party for them. Like, we're glad you're here. We want you to be here, and we're gonna love on you until you can learn to love yourself. Because a lot of us, we've been beaten up and broken for so long that we don't even know what love looks like. So the whole thing is just to invite them to a place that's welcoming, and
like
then
incentives? Like,
it's going to be an incentive, and it'll also be, there'll be different avenues for the. It's not going to have one set prerequisite. Like, some people need, they need a place to, you know uh, clean up, and they don't use, but they want, more of a spiritual foundation, and they're here to find their purpose. And we're going to have courses and classes that the clients can sign up to, that will allow, for this investigation of who they are and what they're about. uh, It'll be a men's and women's program. It'll be, there'll be a 30-day, uh, uh, 30-day trial. Basically, they'll come in, and we'll feed the homeless every day. There'll be a kitchen there, and we'll feed the homeless. And we're going to also have a culinary arts section, to where, they're going to get the top-notch food. We're They're going to have some of the clients in the culinary school will make the meals and prepare them for the homeless on a daily basis, and then we'll also have, a cafeteria for the clients. Now, the 30-day process is just to get them their tuberculosis, or get them the immediate medical needs done, and make sure that everyone's, for the most part, healthy, and just assess the situation and what their real needs and ideals are.
so it sounds like you're gonna need a lot of sponsors and contributors and donators. And so, what would be the benefit to the individuals or the corporates that do want to donate for them? What can that do? What is that going to do for them as far as their community and their residents?
Well, you know, it we're not only going to be just a program for the homeless or a rehabilitation center. It's going to have we're going to have uh, companies, say mental health or whoever, whatever sciences are out there that are investigating, like, how the brain function works and this and that. We're going to have different areas where uh, sciences, it'll be like laboratory. So you can, the clients will sign a waiver and they can participate in any studies that this group or, donator would, they can come and they'll have clients to, uh, monitor or what have you, so that they can do their research, and it'll be a research facility. And
So as a contributor, they'll be able to see the benefits of the before and after, and maybe even possibly, I think you mentioned like an
absolutely fun.
at-risk, at-risk individuals that are on the verge of becoming
Yeah,
unhoused.
yeah. Well, the clients that'll be there, the homeless community that will come and join the program, they'll have access to the latest sciences, the latest researches, and they'll have, first dibs on, the newest, you know forms of treatment, along with the idea that it will also be a franchise. We're gonna have a
So you'll
a
have like a data-based treatment program along with new technologies that are, haven't really been utilized yet.
yes, and it'll be research capabilities there, and then they'll also, we plan to franchise part of it out. So part of the program would be, when we have a lot of the homeless community, they have lots of skills, builders, everybody. We got all variety of people with skills. They just don't know, they're not utilizing them now because of the situation they're in.
Right.
So
So
we're
it
gonna
sounds like that would boost the economy, to get all these,
back to
unemployed
work.
workers working and paying taxes, and so that's a really big benefit for a contributor, is knowing that taxes, the economy will be boosted
Yeah,
by the help.
we're definitely gonna create jobs. A part of it is to, uh, once they get to a certain point in their phase, probably around the third phase of the program, they're gonna have availability to some of the jobs that we are doing as a foundation. The foundation also, we do uh, rehabs on homes, and we buy and sell homes. And part of the graduation is going to be moving them into their new home via, our real estate uh, endeavors that we are working on as a foundation. It'll also, we are going to be working with the city on, hopefully, building and creating these automated structures throughout the county, that will allow for, showers, and it'll be automatic, and you can run it through your EBT, and it'll have little sleep zones, and they'll be all automated and locked down, and cameras, and then we'll have, as part of it, our security will go around, and our maintenance crew will go around each one of these small facilities, kind of like a bathroom at the beach, and you got the showers and all that stuff. So these are going to be like that, but they're going to be operated with either your Visa card or your EBT card.
Okay.
And,
It sounds like we've covered a lot. We're getting a lot of questions. So let's go through some of the questions and come back and see what the audience has to say.
okay, so
Well, thank you. And to our audience, we will be back shortly for your questions.
all right, thank you very much.
Yeah, because you were getting into like way too much.
What?
Was there anybody watching?
No, 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 no.